Welcome to your online coffee break, where we discuss bite-sized topics that inspire, educate, and entertain. Here's your host, a software innovator, award-winning marketer, and astronomy and space buff, Chuck Fields.
Hello, thanks for joining me today for your online coffee break. It's my great pleasure to introduce today's special guest, comedian Jeff Allen. Now, this was one of the more interesting interviews I've had in a while, in that I very seldom get to meet my guests face to face. Well, it just so happened that Jeff was coming to Indianapolis to perform at a local venue, and we arranged a meeting. And he gave me an address, and I drove to it, and I was very surprised when I pulled up to the entrance of a hospital. I walked in the lobby, looked around, and said, I'm not sure if I'm being played a joke on right now, but I'm expecting to meet comedian Jeff Allen here. Surprisingly, it was the right place, and we ended up having this really great fireside chat where Jeff told me about his incredible career. Now, if you're not familiar with him, he has headlined numerous tours, performed at prestigious venues around the world. His extensive television appearances include Showtime, Comedy Central, VH1. His videos have over 100 million views. Now, as I said, I was fortunate to catch up on Jeff with his current tour, The America I Grew Up In.
Online coffee break.
Jeff, thank you so much for joining me. Really do appreciate it.
Oh, I can't do it without you guys. So,
Well, we appreciate that. Now, you are on your The America I Grew Up In tour.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit, what spurred the ideas for that?
well, that started really with the. I wanted to take my grandson to the playground, and my daughter-in-law wouldn't let him in my car because I forgot the car seat. And he's 4 years old. He's about 60 pounds. I think he's on creatine. I really do. This kid's huge, and I thought I can't strap him in the belt, And she said no, and then I'm literally tired of strapping my kid and the grandson in like a NASCAR driver just to go 3 miles to the mini mart. And I started looking in the Google to find out what age you could take them out. I was thinking 8, 9, 18. Here's your high school diploma. You get to ride home like a big boy. Somewhere in between. It's a height. It's not an age. It's a height, and it's 4'9", which is even more ridiculous. Because I'm thinking the entire female U.S. Olympic gymnastic team has to ride in a booster seat to go pick up their gold medals at the gym, and that kind of was. I said, "What is going on?" And the more I started paying attention, the term helicopter parent, and my kids actually are like that. And I thought, you weren't raised this way. And then Tammy and I were laying in bed, and I said, everything we did as a parent, we'd lose custody. We actually let them play in the street by themselves, unsupervised.
No way.
We assumed they were intelligent enough when they saw a big metal object coming at 40 miles an hour, they would get out of the way. We just assumed that. And then we thought, well, if they don't, we'll just make another one.
Survival of the fittest, exactly.
Oh, that's it. Time to thin the herd. And it's a joke, by the way. I don't want an email.
Exactly.
It's amazing how literal people take this stuff.
It is. Now, you got into comedy, 78?
1978.
What drew you into it? Because we always have the stereotypical, class clowns and this kind of thing. What made you decide this is the field?
Well, my brother was a musician, so probably 2 or 3 years earlier, I was at a club, a bar that he was playing at. I was 15 or something. I saw a comedy team open for him at the club, and they were getting big laughs and stuff. And I thought, wow. And then I thought, where do you do that at? How do you? So anyway, 6 years later, I was working for a jewelry company, and somebody said, "There's this comedy club. Let's go after we're done setting up the jewelry show. Let's go." And I went, "Comedy club? What's that?" Anyway, that was it. I saw 10 or 15 comics that night, and I thought, I got to do this. And it took me really 3 months to work up the courage. I was there every night, 6 nights a week. They were closed one night, sitting at the bar watching comics, and they all knew I wanted to do it. I just didn't have it. So the first night I went up was Thanksgiving night. I had gotten drunk. I was a big drinker then. And I figured, well, this is it. Signed up for open mic, and that was Thursday. Humiliated myself. Absolutely humiliated. I drew a blank, couldn't talk. I had nothing prepared. I didn't even know comics prepared material. I just thought you went up and talked about your day, because everything sounded so, off the...
Informal, off the cuff.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, humiliation. And went back on Sunday, signed up, and the MC came over and he goes, "You're going to have to make some sense tonight. We're still trying to figure out what you said Thursday night." And it's funny because they were all waiting for me. This was the moment. They all came out from the back to watch. You have 3 months to work the courage up.
Oh my gosh!
And it was awful, humiliating.
But you persevered. You
I
kept
did.
going.
This is what my wife said to me. What made you go back? Because she's not the type person.
Right.
She would have never stepped foot in a place ever again. And I said, didn't know if I was a sadist or a masochist, but somebody in that room was getting punished and enjoying it.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I knew I could do it if I just got over the stage fright. I knew it would. I knew it. I don't know. And I really believe that there was a divine hand in this.
Absolutely.
Because there were 2 or 3 different times in my career I tried to quit. I really did. I tried to join the Air Force. And,
Really?
the day before I was to take the physical to go in, I had taken the test. I had taken everything. And all I needed was to pass a physical, which I probably wouldn't have passed because my body was loaded with drugs and alcohol. But the night before, somebody calls me out of town, and I just took off, left the Air Force sitting there, and that was one. And then there was a time in LA I tried to quit. And there was a time in my 30s when I was married I tried to get out of it, and things would happen. Mm-hmm. So I kind of figure this is what he put me on this earth to do. It just took me, a good 38 years to acknowledge his existence.
Sometimes it does take a while.
Yeah, that's what I always say. Whether you deny God or not, he's there. I mean, it's just
exactly.
So there's a divine hand in all of this.
Absolutely, Jeff. I think that's incredible. And what I think is amazing too is you've seen so many amazing places. From one thing I want to ask you about is, oh my gosh, I think you went to perform on a ship in the Persian Gulf.
Oh, in the Indian Ocean, yeah. Landed on an aircraft carrier.
Really? What was that like? Can you tell us?
Wow, it's one thing. We were in a C-230, C-130 transport plane, so there were no windows. No windows. So we couldn't see where we were going, which was probably a good thing. Because I asked the pilot one day, I said, we were on the ship, the pilots were the coolest. I guess when you're, you can die any day, you kind of go with life, full bore. So they were a blast. So I just said, by the way, what's it like landing on an aircraft carrier in the middle of the ocean at night? And he drops a pencil on the floor and he goes, that's what it looks like. At 100 and 200 and some miles an hour or so when they land. I don't know. But
so you couldn't see it, but you could
right. And it was, the shows were awful. We were on a warship. We were not supposed to be there. Right. Somebody messed up big time. Put 2 civilians on a warship. They were running night ops to Afghanistan. We had just invaded Afghanistan. And we were sitting on the flight deck watching the planes take off and land, my son and I. My son came with me.
Nice.
And a year after that, 2 years after, a year and a half after that, he signed up for the military.
Yeah, that's great. I heard about that.
Yeah, even the Navy, when we were on the ship, was telling him to join the Air Force. Yeah, they got all the cool toys. That's what they kept telling him. Nah, you don't want the Navy.
The cool toys, the best food.
Yeah, they got the best food. Yeah, we did a secret base in Bahrain, and for the Air Force, and boy, what a difference! Air conditioning, chefs, not just some slop cook in a line. They got all the money. So.
Any other unusual venues that you've been in?
Well, I went down to Mexico for a thing called Dangerous Ideas. I have no idea why people pick. I'm not a social commentator. I'm not a. Certainly my show, you wouldn't watch it and think, wow, what a deep thinker. But anyway, it's called Dangerous Ideas, and somebody saw me, whatever, and they hired me, and I went down deep into we flew into Mexico City and drove another 3 hours to somewhere, I don't know. And it was all these different academics and me, and so that was interesting. And it was interesting, they had translators. Everybody in the audience had an earpiece, so they were translating my comedy. And it was this I had to readjust my timing.
That would be so weird.
But it was funny. I was getting laughs. It was like, I don't know how this will play. I mean, it's a different culture and everything. But, you realize that when you talk about marriage, kids, whatever, God kind of made us all the same.
Let's talk about that. Because marriage and kids, obviously, most everyone can relate about that. And that's where you get your material from it. What advice would you give out to those who've been married or getting married soon or been married for just a little bit, for the newlyweds?
I liken to what I read in Scott Peck's book, Road Less Traveled. When my marriage was having trouble, I was reading a lot of books, and he talked about true love does not exist absent of conflict. You cannot have a loving relationship without conflict. It just doesn't exist. So that euphoric feeling that we all feel when we meet somebody that this could be the one is an illusion put there by God to keep the species going. I mean, that's the attraction, but it's not the reality. And his example, if I remember it right, was something benign like You're on the couch. You've been dating for a while. You're all in this euphoric thing. And then one night she says, I want Mexican food. You go, well, I really want Chinese food. Now here's some conflict. Now here's a chance for this relationship to move into love, true love. And I resonated with that because I hated conflict. So every girl I ever dated prior to meeting Tammy, when conflict entered, and it always did, I fled. That was it. This relationship is over. They may not have known it, but I did. So how you conflict will determine the length and happiness of your marriage. And it really is talk them through. The stuff that annoyed me about Tammy early on, or stuff that I really realized is what really helped. And it was she told me if my feet stunk. She told me if my breath stunk. She told me, don't touch me that way. She told me, get off, shave. My God, I'm sick of your stubby whisker. All that stuff, which I thought was like, man, how rude. I don't talk. I mean, and again, I had to be very careful with her because her body image is like a lot of women. It's on a thread. So, I realized that I'd rather have that than the resentment building, and that people think, certainly young couples, there's something wrong with, he's not perfect, she's not perfect, but it's, like I said, it's a marathon.
Now, parenting, you have your kids, you mentioned your son.
Yes, 2 grown boys.
Well, I tell you, we have 4 boys, and we just got through, except for one, the teenage years.
Oh, bless you. Yeah.
What was your difficulty with the teenage years?
Well, mine was because I traveled so much, was if they disrespected their mom. That was, because I wasn't going to be one of those fathers that barreled through the door and disciplined my son. Something happened 3 days ago. So Tammy had to be the disciplinarian. And they ran roughshod over her. And I remember my father was he was not violent towards us. He was verbally not kind, but certainly physically. But one time I got thrown against the wall was when I didn't know he was home. And I was disrespecting my mother. I mean, I was screaming at her. I'm not doing it. You can't tell me, And I heard from the back of the room, I said, I'm not going to bed. You can't make me. And he goes, the hell I can't. And I did not know he was home. And I'm telling you, but what? And he came in and threw me against the wall. And he said, that's your mother. That's my wife.
That you never did that again.
No, I never did. Well, I checked to make sure his car wasn't in the driveway. And after a 10-second delay of looking around, I figured, it's over. I'm not gonna do anything. But that was me. I just said, you will not disrespect my wife. And both boys passive aggressive. I'm passive aggressive. And it was one of those things you pray to God. You go, why did they have to get that? Right. Of all the terrible things that I have, some are better than others. And all I ever asked was just respect. That's all. Treat them, because I said the way you treat your mother is the way you treat your wife and girlfriends. So you might as well learn it here.
That is so true.
This is how you treat a woman, and you speak with kindness. And if you can, we don't ever minded, arguing or disagreeing. Mm-hmm. We didn't want any doormats.
What makes you laugh?
Truth and absurdity. Awesome. Truth and absurdity. I just love human beings. I could sit, literally, when we would go to amusement parks, I couldn't ride because I get motion sickness. And if I took Dramamine, then I looked like I was on Thorazine. People walking by, those poor children, look at their drunk father. So anyway, I would sit and watch people. And I would try to figure out what they do for livings and stuff like that. And then the folly of just, especially the teenage kids with their parents, at how far they wanted to walk away from them and not be associated with them. And the dads with the shorts and the black socks and the sandals, and you're thinking, oh my God, if I had that father, someone should walk over, Dad. Nobody wants you to wear, skinny jeans and, try to be one of them. But for God's sakes, man, take the black socks.
Exactly. Now, your tour's been going on for quite some time.
Well, we really started in earnest, maybe April or June probably, this
Great.
Summer. Yeah.
How's it been going?
It's exploding. It
Nice.
really is. People are resonating to the, and it's not what people, because I get stuff on my Facebook. This guy is, He hates the safety measures, and he hates, he's like that. I tell him, I'm not against car seats. I don't care. You want them. I'm tired of mandatory. That's all. I want them to stay out of our lives. You don't want to ride a bike with a helmet? Don't. But don't come to me to fix your head. That's your choice. And but we certainly survived as a species without all the mandatory safety measures. So people, it's resonating with people, and when I talk about the playgrounds, just one particular one, there's another one that kind of started it. As I took my grandkids to the playground, I looked around, I go, there's no monkey bars. So I asked some woman, where's the monkey bars? She said, well, kids were falling off and hurting themselves. And I went, and? I mean, that can't be the only reason. Well, it was, I went, so what? I mean, nobody wants to see a kid get hurt, but for gosh sake, that's how you learn pain. C.S. Lewis said suffering was God's megaphone. That's exactly. Pain is God's way of going, hey, stop doing that. But we know we're onto something, and as long as I can keep adding material to it,
On that note, Jeff, I just want to congratulate you on your success so far. I want to wish you the best of luck with this amazing tour, and I really want to thank you for just taking time today to join us. Thank you so much, Jeff.
I do too, man. Thank you so much.
Online Coffee Break.
Well, I had such a great time talking with Jeff today. Really enjoyed our conversation. Hope you did too. If you'd like to find out more about Jeff's tour dates coming to a city near you, just go to his website at jeffallencomedy.com. I want to thank Jeff for joining us today. I want to thank you for taking the time to join us as well. You can really help us if you would rate us on your favorite podcast application, or if you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, share with your friends. That would be incredible. We'd really appreciate it. Really mean a lot to us. Again, we want to thank you for just tuning in today. We look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day. God bless.